So today we're going to talk a little bit about reasons why an IUL is so much better than a Roth IRA. But before we get started on that, it's really important for you to understand that a Roth IRA is a phenomenal tool when it comes to retirement, and you should be maximizing your Roth IRA as much as possible. So if you're going to maximize it through two ways, one through the form of contributions and the other through the form of conversions. Now, folks, right now, taxes are on sale. And in 2025, when the Trump tax law is sunset, that sale is going to go away. And if you know anything about what the national debt is today and what the unfunded deficit is for Social Security, Medicare, and prescription drugs, you got to believe that going forward, the taxes are going to be higher. So if taxes are going to be higher, then we should be talking about how do you make sure that you don't pay those taxes in the future? You see, because there's really only three ways to grow your money. There's taxed as you go, tax deferred, and tax free. Now, if you were asked which is the worst way to grow your money, the answer is simply tax as you go. And the reason why it's the worst way to grow your money is because every single year you're going to get a 1099 and you're taxed on money all the time, as opposed to tax deferred, where if you put that money in there, you get to grow on money you would have otherwise paid in taxes, and hopefully you'll be in a lower tax bracket when it comes time to take it out. Now, whether tax deferred or tax free is better is totally based on your exit strategy. What do I mean by your exit strategy? Well, I mean when it comes time to take the money out, will you be in a lower bracket than when you actually put it in? Now, if you understand anything about tax brackets, you understand that we have a progressive tax scale. So it starts down here at 10%, and then it goes to 12 and 22 and 24, etc. But the bracket that you're getting your write-off in is what's called your top marginal tax bracket. So whatever your highest bracket is, so let's say you're at 24%, that's where you're getting your write-off. Well, interestingly enough, when it comes time to take the money out, your top marginal tax bracket is what the rate is that you're paying on that qualified money that you're taking out. So, that being said, will you be in a lower tax bracket when it comes time to retire? And most people are very surprised to find out that not only are they not in a lower tax bracket when it comes to retire, many times they're actually in a higher tax bracket when it comes time to retire. Because you see, while you were putting this money away tax deferred, you were doing it and you had these huge tax write-offs. One, the children; two, the mortgage on the house; three, the money you were contributing to the qualified plans. And now all of those are gone. And so you might find that you're in the same or higher tax bracket. And then here's the one nobody ever remembers. One of you dies. And when one of you dies, now you have to file single. And the only thing that really goes away at that point is one of the Social Security is the lowest of the two. So at the end of the day, the other way to grow our money is tax-free. Now, there really only are three ways to grow money tax-free. One is muni bonds, Roth IRAs, and life insurance. And as we discussed, life insurance can be better than a Roth IRA. However, you need to capitalize on your Roth IRA. So what is a Roth IRA? It's a type of retirement account that allows you to contribute money after taxes, and then it grows tax-free now and forever. Unlike an IRA, that when we put the money in, it's pre-taxed, and then we pay taxes on everything that comes out now and forever. Now, the limits for a contribution to a Roth IRA or an IRA are pretty much the same. They're both phased out if you make too much money. And the reality is that the limits are so low that you really can't really put away a lot of money inside of there unless you're using a Roth 401k. Now, if you're using a Roth 401k, at this point, if you're over the age of 50, you can put in $30,500 per year. Plus, in some cases, you can actually take the company match, pay the taxes on that, and put that in the Roth 401k as well. Well, bottom line is that it works a lot like an IRA in that you can't take money out prior to 59 and a half from an IRA. Yet in a Roth IRA, the contributions, a very, very important word, the contributions that you put in a Roth IRA, you can take out at any time. The problem is you can't put them back. So if you're planning on leveraging them up, something along those lines, you won't be able to put back any more than whatever your contribution limits are for the year. However, you cannot remove the growth from a Roth IRA until 59 and a half. Now, when it comes to conversions, well, that's a whole different story, and it's a different set of rules, because at that point, you can't remove the principal or the money that you convert until 59 and a half, and you can't remove or the growth for 5 years, and you can't remove the growth for 5 years or 59 and a half, whichever is longer. So, all that said, we've got the contribution limits that are on there. Now, I told you that you should be maximizing your Roth IRA. Well, once you've maximized your Roth IRA, you've contributed as much as you possibly can. And let's say you've moved all of your IRA, you've eaten your elephant, you've moved all of your IRA over to a Roth IRA, and you still got money left over. Well, where should you be putting that money? Well, remember, there were only 3 ways to grow our money tax-free, and that was muni bonds, Roth IRAs, and properly maximum funded life insurance. So an IUL, an indexed universal life policy, is a policy that's designed to hold large amounts of money. Now, the difference in this case is that if you were going to buy life insurance, as they call it, or I call it death insurance, what you do is you buy the most insurance using the least amount of money for the purpose of dying. The difference here is you're going to do exactly the opposite. You're going to buy the least amount of insurance using the most amount of money for the purpose of living. So you're going to grow your money tax-free, access up to 85% at any time tax-free, put it back if you want, get most of the gains of the market, never participate in losses, and when you die, it's going to pass on to 2 to 3 times that amount tax-free. Now, how much of that do you want? You know, I often ask people, I say, look, you know, how much death insurance do you need? And frequently the answer is none. They're in a position in their life where they really don't need death insurance. If they were to die, there's enough assets left over to take care of their heirs. But when I ask them if you could grow your money tax-free, access up to 85% at any time tax-free, put it back if you want, get most of the gains of the market, never participate in losses, and when you die, it passes on at 2 to 3 times that amount tax-free, would you want that? Of course you would. And how much would you want? As much as you could possibly get. So see, when we're talking about maximum funded life insurance, we're not talking about your grandfather's life insurance policy. We're talking about a maximum funded policy. It no longer becomes a need conversation and now becomes a want conversation. So indexing, the way indexing works is your money's not in the market, but it's growing with the market. And the way that happens is the insurance companies go out and buy options to be able to give you that growth and not participate in the losses. So if we were going to just do a comparison to a Roth IRA versus an IUL, in a Roth IRA, our money grows, accumulates tax-free. We can withdraw our money tax-free. The same thing happens in our maximum funded life insurance policy. But the difference is, in our maximum funded life insurance policy, if we withdraw the money, we can actually put it back. Now, in addition to that, we have very little limits on how much money we can actually contribute to a maximum funded policy. As a matter of fact, we could put millions in there on an annual basis if we had that kind of money and our net worth was that high. We have access to the money anytime we want it, so we have more liquidity than we would have in, say a Roth IRA. It's index, so that means that we're never going to lose a dime in the stock market if the market drops. And then in addition to that, if we die, not only does it pass on tax-free, but it blossoms up. Now, in all fairness, if we were to do a comparison to an IUL to a Roth IRA, we could argue that some of the bads is that the costs are very high. Now, if we were to compare the cost in an IUL to, say, a brokerage account, which was our Roth IRA, what we would find is that in the first 10 years, those costs would be an average of 2 to 3 times higher than in the IUL than they would be in the brokerage account. But if we did that same measurement in year 20, not only would they be 2 to 3 times higher in the brokerage account, they would be growing exponentially because, see, the fees in the brokerage account are based on the value of the account, whereas the fees in the IUL are based on the amount of insurance. And here's the interesting part. We're going to buy the least amount of insurance possible. So, and by the way, who sets that rule? Well, the IRS. So the IRS says how much insurance, how little insurance I can buy, and how much insurance I can put in that policy without creating what's called a MEC, or a modified endowment contract. See, if we create a modified endowment contract, then what happens in that particular case is we end up losing all those tax benefits while we're alive. So once again, with the power of indexing, if I was to show you, what you would find is that if we went from 2000 out to, say, 2017, you would find, well, here, let me just give you a quick shot here of this picture. You would be at 352,271 using indexing, as opposed to $181,000 in the market, because when the market goes up, we get the gains, but when the market goes down, we make zero. So all that said, we talked to this guy, Warren Buffett. He says his rule number 1 is never lose money. And rule number 2, don't forget rule number 1. Now, folks, this stuff isn't new. It's been around for hundreds of years. As a matter of fact, there's a section in the tax code called 101A, 7702, and 72E of the tax code that determines how much insurance you have to buy, how fast and how much money you can put in it, and to keep it all tax-free. Ed Slott, I was a master lead advisor for Ed Slott for 9 years, and he says that the single biggest benefit of the tax code is the tax exemption for life insurance. Yet it's the one thing that so few people understand and so few people use. And what I mean by use is I rarely meet a person who has maximized the total benefit that they could use in their life insurance. So folks, this isn't for everybody. As a matter of fact, some of you it will make sense to, some of it will not. And if you can't make sense of it, you definitely shouldn't be doing it, because it's not a short-term plan, it's a long-term plan. So I would ask you, all the time people come to me, and the very first thing they say to me when they sit down to meet with me every single time is, what should I do with my money? Well, if you walked into the doctor's office for the very first time in your life, you've literally never been in that doctor's office ever in your life. And as you walk through the door, the very first thing they did was they hand you a pill. And they say, look, eat this pill. Would you eat the pill? I would hope not. And the reason why I would hope you wouldn't eat the pill is because that's called malpractice. That's called prescribing without diagnosing. And the reality of the matter is that that's what you're asking me to do. You're asking me to prescribe without diagnose. Well, here's the thing, folks. I really have to do, if I'm going to do a good job for you, I have to do a 100,000-foot view of where you're at, where you're going, and whether what we're talking about even makes sense for you, or even what you're doing makes sense for you. Should you be doing Roth conversion? Should you be doing IULs? Should you be, going on vacation for the rest of your life and just stop working today? Are you going to pay a ton of taxes? Are you going to pay a bunch of estate taxes? Where are you? And until I know that, I could never tell you whether this makes sense for you. Now, please put some comments down here in the bottom and tell us what you think about this Roth IRA and IUL thing. But if you really want to get a clear picture of what this is all about, use the Calendly link below, Set up a time, and when you click on that link, you just simply go out there and find a time in my schedule that works for you and works for me, and schedule that, and it'll immediately send you over what's called a wealth assessment form. Take the time to fill out that wealth assessment form. Fill it out as best you possibly can. I have never, not one time, in the hundreds of times I've done this, have I ever got anybody get that form correct on the first try. But caution, when you're filling that form out, it's a jot form, so if you don't complete it, it doesn't save your information. So you've got to put in everything and then submit the form. Or if you're going to put in part of it, submit the form where you're at and then go back and start over again. Look, remember to live like you're going to die tomorrow and plan like you're going to live forever, because you just might. Keep smiling, and I look forward to seeing each and every one of you soon. Don't forget to put some comments down below, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make it a great day now.